Yeah, I've been, doing a lot of LPing. Like, so maybe just to update folks, I talked a ways back about LPing eigenlayer. And, all of this LPing stuff needs to be with a ton of caveats and
$46 million of volume on a $14 million soccer cap. That's crazy.
yeah, on a 1% fee tier. So
1% fee.
In this token, we're going to talk about in roughly like
$1,000 of fees, right? Or is it no? Is that
no
$460,000?
Yeah, 460,000. Sorry. Yeah, we're both doing a decimal wrong. Yeah, and I made so the price spiking collapsed. It's slowly recovered. I think I LP'd it about like 375 or 350, something like that.
It almost hit $4. Recently.
Yeah, and so I exited, almost exactly where I started LPing. So I took no impermanent loss, and I made a 60% ROI in fees.
Yeah.
So, this kind of like opened the floodgates for me. Like you can see the choppiness there. You can see how painful, it was to kind of be in this position for a while. Like, when it dropped, but then it popped back up, and then there's been a lot of volume, especially on chain, which has been kind of surprising. Anyway.
Yeah. I think this like you got in around here.
Exactly. Yep. And then it went straight down, and then it bounced up, and it went straight down, and then bounced up. But I made fees that entire way, and I was kind of just like, hoping to exit, with nil impermanent loss. And I did that and made 60% ROI on fees. I will just say a few caveats here. It could have just kept on going straight back down. I did have this long thesis on Eigen, and so like it could have just wrecked me completely. I also, if I had exited my position at the bottom when I was like nearly all,
or you would have realized
probably would have made more. I could have realized the loss, or I would have made more if I'd exited there and just held the Eigen.
Oh yeah, if I exited on Eigen and then held all the Eigen when it went up. Sure. But at that point, you're just trading.
Exactly. At that point, you're just trading. So like, that was kind of the start of it. Now I have graduated into what seems like this cycle's mania, which is meme coins. And, like it is kind of interesting to LP these things. As you pointed out before, this is a token. And like, just to be super clear here, I barely know anything about Chaos. This is in no way a recommendation to go buy this thing. It's some AI meme coin that was launched by another AI meme coin. And the only reason that I am attracted to it is because it has a lot of volume. So,
okay, give me the number. So 46.5 million, right? 46.5000000. TVL was like 1.8 million.
Let me just look at it right now. Yeah, 1.8.
I have it. 1.8 million. Okay. And you're saying it's a 1% fee tier. So the average APR is 9,429%. That's the average. That's like, so if you're tighter than the average, you're going to get even more APR than that by, a multiple of whatever tightness relative to the average you are. And if you're wider than that, you might get a little bit wider. I mean, if you're full range, you're probably still racking up 1,000% APR. This is insane.
And you can also compound because it's on base. So very easy to go and compound. Also, I am, much tighter than your average position. So basically what I did was, and like, just to give you a sense of a scale is this stuff. Should we look at the revert numbers? Yeah, we should look at the revert numbers. Don't do this with like a large amount of money. Don't do this with something that you can't, like, this is kind of like
gambling with her is now.
But for like, DeFi people. But so like, I entered with literally just 1 ETH, and I bought like 1 ETH worth of this token and then just LP'd it up. And I'm not like crazy tight. I'm probably like, like I basically started with no ETH and then like LP'd it from about 9 million to something like 40 million market cap. So yeah, the APY. Yeah. What can you tell me what the number says? What is that again?
No, I can't. I genuinely can't. I do. Yeah, I have no idea. This is beyond the scope of the numbers that I know.
Well, see, like, this is the thing, Stephen. Like, this is not a serious thing to do, but it is really fun.
But hey, look, after 1 year, you will be the richest man on earth by a lot.
Yeah. See, like, this is what we need back in DeFi. We need like ohm fork, tomb fork, style numbers again. And that's what, LPing meme coins can definitely do. It is probably just as risky, if not more risky, because like this thing could get rugged immediately. It could lose relevance in an hour and people could stop trading it. But while it has crazy high volume, it is, fun to play around with. And this one specifically, if you go back to Chaos.
Yeah, I will. I just want to, okay, wait. 8 undecillion, 654 decillion, 943 nonillion, 821 octillion, and then we sort of get to numbers that we know. So it's an 8 undecillion % APY. in case you guys were wondering, and I'm sure you were.
Yeah, see, exactly. It's fun, right? We're making DeFi fun again.
Welcome to today's episode of DeFi Dojo Podcast. There we go. And today, markets are they're an interesting place. We're doing that thing where we're definitely riding the what I call the hedonic treadmill. Everyone was super euphoric when we just kissed like 99,800, and now we're trending back down towards like 94,000 BTC. ETH has had a bit of a rally. We hit like 37 something, almost 38. And now we're back down to probably, I don't know, the 34s or 33s. And so the markets they're doing the thing. They're consolidating, they're accumulating, they're doing that thing where they kind of crap for a bit before we see another big move. Hopefully that move will be up. We are in a bullish market condition right now. So typically you see consolidation, then an upward move, not consolidation, then a downward move. I don't know if I'm using consolidation or accumulation right, but that's sort of where we are in the market. Now, as we're here, there's a ton of other things happening. XRP skyrocketed, went like up 300% in, I don't know, a couple of days or a week. Link also shot up, good for the Link Marines. And there's I want to talk about meme coins a little bit because I think there are a few things going on. But anyways, before we get into that, Mara, you have been, surprisingly to me, playing with meme coins in a way that people might not.
Yeah. Well, welcome back, everyone. I'm also feeling a little bit. It sounded like when you were remembering the name of the podcast that you were having a bit of a holiday hangover. I'm feeling the same as well. So happy Turkey Day to everyone. And also, ETH is, knock on wood, not yet at 33, whatever you said. We're still at 35, baby. We're still moving. We're still cruising over here, and we can maybe get into it later, but there has been some changes, like the ETH BTC chart still does not look amazing. So that gives me some hope because, if it did, I would start getting a little scared. There's been some, what is this, the daily chart? Remember we had that
daily chart. This is where I sold.
Yeah, it's perfect. I mean, but we had got really excited when there was that like pump up and then we went straight back down. Now we're moving up, but it's kind of like more of a progressive up, down, up, down. It feels a little bit healthier that way, right? The thing that does look, very different is if you look at the Sol ETH chart or the Sol chart, whichever one you want to look at.
Oh yeah, Sol is way down versus ETH right now.
Yeah, that had been max pain, right? Like the soy boys, the manlets had been just kind of dunking on ETH for a very long time, and it feels like Sol has lost a little bit of its tailwinds, I guess I should say. I own all these assets, so I just want to make that clear. I'm not trying to be super tribal or partisan with this. I feel like once people start doing that in crypto, it's a little bit negative sum. So, I do hold more ETH than anything else. It's kind of goes ETH, BTC, Sol for me. So, but I am invested in all these things. But I do think, seeing this trend reversal is a little bit interesting. I do kind of wonder if some of the folks that, have been bidding Sol have moved on to bidding XRP. I see you're seeing some funny stuff in the chart. So tell us what you're seeing, Stephen.
I mean, I'm not a chart guy. I was just zooming out until the beginning of 2023, and Sol went up 10x versus ETH, technically 11.5x. And now the recent, I guess you could say, trend reversal was a 25% correction. So Sol is down 25% versus ETH in the past 2 weeks, which is, it's a pretty short time frame to be down 25%. But again, over a year time frame, it is up 11x or 1,100%.
Well, there's two things to think about here. One is we do have some pretty massive unlocks happening in March for Sol. So the FTX estate has sold a bunch of vesting Sol, and that is unlocking in March. There's a big chunk that unlocks all at once, and then after that, it's a daily unlock. So it will be interesting to see how the market kind of digests that. Maybe we're starting to see a little bit of that getting priced in right now. Supply does definitely matter. But, the other point is I know someone like yourself, you have diversified recently. You were mainly ETH. Now you have DDC. When you see a trend reversal like this, it might be an interesting time for someone like you who doesn't have any Sol exposure to pick some up, if that really is something you're sort of.
And one of the reasons why I want to get over there is because DeFi is kind of moving in a direction that I am more comfortable with and familiar with. I'm a yield farmer. I like leveraged single delta exposures if I can get them. There's some pretty decent Solana yields over there. I think if you're looking for just Solana exposure, you can probably get around 20-25% leveraging some of the LSTs. And we discussed on previous podcasts, there are also LRTs coming. So there's a whole restaking narrative coming to Solana that might get you some additional yield. It might give you some airdrop qualifications. That's the kind of thing that attracts me as someone who doesn't want crazy mixed delta exposure and permanent loss. And like, I'm just not a meme coin guy. I hold one meme coin. It's because I know the dev. Shout out to Farmer and Spice, my single meme coin hold. The hand stays in. But you have actually gone the totally different direction. And you're typically way more risk off than me. So I thought this was kind of fun. You have been LPing these meme coins, or at least one of them.
Yeah, I've been, doing a lot of LPing. Like, so maybe just to update folks, I talked a ways back about LPing Eigenlayer. And, all of this LPing stuff needs to be with a ton of caveats and
$46 million of volume on a $14 market cap. That's crazy.
Yeah, on a 1% fee tier.
1% fee.
In this token, we're going to talk about in roughly like
$1,000 of fees, right? Or is it no? Is that
no
$460,000?
Yeah, 460,000. Sorry, yeah, we're both doing the decimal wrong. But anyway, let me just give a little bit of let me just give a little bit of of a background here. So I've always been an aficionado of concentrated liquidity. I did quite a bit of it with Eigenlayer. I had, not a crazy tight range, but it was pretty painful. Eigenlayer did not perform well. It's had a bit of a resurgence. So, that has been fun. I would like to report that, wow, that is a nice teddy bear you have there.
That is a llama. Thank you very much. It's one of the DeFi llamas. I did the donation thing I forget the name of the thing, but go on my Twitter, you'll find it. And they sent me a llama. I mean, I paid for it. I donated for it, but I love this thing. It's awesome. Shout out to DeFi llamas.
Yeah.
I'm not a sponsor, just like one of the best tools in all of DeFi. Anyways, you're LPing.
Yeah. And I made, so, the price spiking collapsed. It's slowly recovered. I think I LP'd it about, like 375 or 350, something like that.
It almost hit $4, recently.
Yeah. And so I exited, almost exactly where I started LPing. So I took no impermanent loss and I made a 60% ROI in fees.
Yeah.
So, this kind of like opened the floodgates for me. Like you can see the choppiness there. You can see how painful it was to kind of be in this position for a while, like, when it dropped, but then it popped back up. And then there's been a lot of volume, especially on chain, which has been kind of surprising. Anyway.
Yeah. I think, this you got in around here.
Exactly. Yep. And then it went straight down and then it bounced up and it went straight down and then bounced up. But I made fees that entire way. And I was kind of just like, hoping to exit, with nil impermanent loss. And I did that and made 60% ROI on fees. I will just say a few caveats here. It could have just kept on going straight back down. I did have this long thesis on Eigen. And so it could have just wrecked me completely. I also, if I had exited my position at the bottom when I was nearly all, or you would have probably would have made more. I could have realized the loss, or I would have made more if I'd exited there and just held the Eigen.
Oh, yeah. If I exited on Eigen and then held all the Eigen when it went up. Sure. But at that point, you're just trading.
Exactly. At that point, you're just trading. So that was kind of the start of it. Now I have graduated into what seems like this cycle's mania, which is meme coins. And, it is kind of interesting to LP these things. As you pointed out before, this is a token. And just to be super clear here, I barely know anything about chaos. This is in no way a recommendation to go buy this thing. It's some AI meme coin that was launched by another AI meme coin. And the only reason that I am attracted to it is because it has a lot of volume. So,
okay, give me a number. So 46.5 million, right? 46.5000000. TVL was 1.8 million.
Let me just look at it right now. Yeah, 1.8.
I have it. 1.8 million. Okay. And you're saying it's a 1% fee tier. So the average APR is 9,429%. That's the average. That's so if you're tighter than the average, you're going to get even more APR than that by, a multiple of whatever tightness relative to the average you are. And if you're wider than that, you might get a little bit wider. I mean, if you're full range, you're probably still rocking up 1,000% APR. This is insane.
And you can also compound because it's on base. So very easy to go and compound. Also, I am, much tighter than your average position. So basically what I did was, and just to give you a sense of a scale is this stuff. Should we look at the revert numbers? Yeah, we should look at the revert numbers. Don't do this with a large amount of money. Don't do this with something that you can't. This is kind of like gambling with her
is now.
But for DeFi people. But so I entered with literally just 1 ETH and I bought 1 ETH's worth of this token and then just LP'd it up. And I'm not crazy tight. I'm probably You know, like I basically started with no ETH and then like LP'd it from about 9 million to something like 40 million market cap. So yeah, the APY. Yeah, what can you tell me what the number says? What is that again?
No, I can't. I genuinely can't. I do. Yeah, I have no idea. This is beyond the scope of the numbers that I know.
Well, see, like this is the thing, Steven. Like this is not a serious thing to do, but it is really fun.
But hey, look,
you know what I mean?
after after 1 year, you will be the richest man on earth by a lot.
Yeah. See, like this is what we need back in DeFi. We need like ohm fork, tomb fork, you know, style numbers again, and that's what LPing meme coins can definitely do. It is probably just as risky, if not more risky, because like this thing could get rugged immediately. It could lose relevance in an hour and people could stop trading it. But while it has crazy high volume, it is, fun to play around with. And this one specifically, if you go back to Chaos.
Yeah, I will. I just want to, okay, wait. 8 undecillion, 654 decillion, 943 nonillion, 821 octillion, and then we sort of get to numbers that we know. So it's an 8 undecillion % APY, in case you guys were wondering, and I'm sure you were.
Yeah, see, exactly. It's fun, right? We're making DeFi fun again. But anyway, this one just luckily has had a massive amount of fees.
And also it's ridiculous flatness relative to meme.
So range bound. Well, so anyway, just give you the numbers of my position. So I entered yesterday. It's been like less than 16 hours with 1 ETH, and I've been LPing this thing, and I've made over half an ETH of fees back, just an ETH. I'm not even counting the meme coin side of this. So I've made almost 100% ROI on this. I'm only really counting the ETH part. So it's just fun, silly numbers. If you go look at the revert, you can see that there's also not many people playing this game. Like there's not many people that are LPing this. Like there are some.
Oh, but like if you start surprised, there's what, 20 people?
Yeah, there's like really not much, and so.
And some of them, the largest position is 41,000.
Right. The largest position is 41,000. They're out of range. But like the positions that have been wide enough that they've stayed in range, like I've been getting like, 40,000%, APR for a while. Like this is like pretty fun and crazy stuff.
Wait, I found you. This one you.
You can also...
Good. This is base, right? Yes, this is now the Solana meme coin trading. This is base. Base season seems to be pretty big right now. Obviously, you're using Uniswap. For some reason, I thought you were going to be using like Radium. This is Uniswap. This is what we're all. I mean, we're like EVM nerds. We're all familiar with this. But you were saying, good.
No, that's exactly right. And look how like inefficient this liquidity is. Like there's like people do not know how to provide effective like liquidity at like a decently wide range. It's just like all super choppy, all over the place.
I think all this liquidity is leading no fees.
Right. So if you think about all that liquidity is getting no fees, and if you just set and even that's like probably an incredibly large price appreciation zone right there. Yeah. Exactly.
Right. I mean, this is for a bunch of zeros 3 to let's just say a bunch of zeros 12. Right. It's a 4x 400% difference from the bottom to the top. So it's a range of what, down 75%, up 2x, something like that. That's a pretty big range.
Exactly. So
so down to 3 is here. Right. So if we're just visualizing this range, it would be, can I do it? Do they have the boxes? Yeah. It would be something like this. Right. And that honestly, that's probably a good range for this pair.
Well, and I only bought 1 ETH's worth and I just LP'd it exactly where I was upwards. So I was was LP'd from like 9 million to like 45 million. And, that's not so different than the range you have there. And the fees have just been wild. But anyway, I just want to spend a second talking about the risks. You could lose 100% of anything you put into this. Like they could rug this. I know nothing about Chaos. This thing could go to 0 instantly. It could also pump and you could be thinking about all this money.
I mean, look at this
made, So I just this is super fun. We're throwing around crazy big numbers. So it's fun. Like you should just think about it as fun. It's like almost like going and, I don't know, like playing blackjack or something like that, or playing poker or something. It's like, if you can get in and out at the right time, if you can LP it when it's hot and attractive and range bound, you can do really well for yourself and have a lot of fun. You could also just get instantly wrecked. So
now, question on this. One question that I have is with Solana, there's pump.fun. And as terrible as pump.fun got at its like height of degeneracy, it did have the like saving grace. If something launched through pump.fun, you knew it wasn't a certain type of rug. You knew like the worst that could happen is they pull liquidity, which sucks. It's terrible, but it's not Like they're not going to freeze the contract. It's not going to be like a only enter, can't exit. It's not going to be like, your traditional EVM rugs. With base chain, are you taking any precautions to ensure that the meme coins you're LPing are like, maybe lower down the risk curve?
Yeah, there are some like I do not claim to be a meme coiner, so I would not want to take that ethos on where I know a ton about it. But like there's another one which I LP'd a lot a couple days ago. Here, you can pull this chart up as well. It's also in base. It's FAI. It's another AI meme coin that like created its own game and did all this stuff. I mean, who knows, right? So like I guess like there is this like trend. Yeah, that thing. Right now, the volumes are not great, so like this is not super exciting. But I did LP this.
Did I go to the wrong LP? There were two LPs. There's also this one which has 1.5 million. So it looks like Aerodrome. That's why. Is it? But I mean, I don't know what the fee tier is here.
Oh, it's 1% on Uniswap at least.
Yeah, but Uniswap have no volume. Aerodrome, but yeah. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. So it's I was LPing this one as well. It also had a really fun phase. I actually went out of range on it, like it pumped, and I went 100% ETH and, just exited.
Did you take a profit?
That was great. Just took profits and I had a lot of fun. I also made a ton of fees on this thing as well. But you can see, I mean, this one has lost momentum and it's kind of, the trend looks down, right? Maybe it's having a little bit of a recovery this morning or something like that. Who knows? But like, you can see that you can go out of range to the downside on this thing, and then it becomes just an impermanent loss machine as well. So like that is...
Yeah, I mean, from its peak until now, which is... And its peak, by the way, guys, was 4 days ago. It's down 70%. So like, had you started LPing here, you probably would have gone out of range here, had some impermanent loss, and then on top of having impermanent loss, then you would have also gone down like 50% on your Fay bag, which you would have been holding at that point.
Exactly. So this is like, it's fun until someone turns the lights off, and then it's not fun anymore. So
it was a 0.3% fee tier. So it's, you're not even making 9,000% APR.
Well, the Uniswap pool was really hot a couple of days ago, but like, this is so, 2 days ago meme coin, so no one's paying attention to it anymore or cares. Though, who knows? Maybe it'll come back. I know nothing about chaos. I know nothing about Fay.
Right.
I'm not saying one's better. Yeah, they're good to say.
Thing else, it's a word of caution or warning that like effectively this is what can happen. So the last meme coin is a case of like, this is the best case scenario. This one is more of like, this is a worst case scenario. This is not like a worst case scenario, but this is an alternative likely case, which is it can go out of range to the downside. If you're not constantly rebalancing, you're not making any fees. You don't know it's going to pump again. Maybe it does, but the vast majority of meme coins won't come back. They'll just die. Maybe this one won't. And like, they're highly narrative based. So right now we have the agentic AI is like the big narrative. Have you been following this at all?
Yeah, I mean, in so much as like when something seems to be starting to get hot, I'll like buy a bit and then LP it, as I've been saying. But like none of it makes a ton of sense to me. Like, it feels very early. Like I'm not saying that AI agents won't play a big role in the future. This one in specifically that you have up was like this AI game where people could like try to like take a prize pool from the AI agent by like talking to it. From what I understand, it was just like, ChatGPT with like some bells and whistles put on top of it. So, maybe in the future, this will be a super interesting and useful thing that people can do on chain. Right now, it feels kind of a little like people are just throwing money into the wind. But what's your take on it? I mean, there's this Virtuals thing that's like another platform on base there's a lot of AI meme coins, but I do not know a ton about it. Do you know anything about it?
Only that. So I follow Kato. Kato is a fantastic data aggregation layer, social data aggregation, I would say. Also on chain aggregation, they have their own AI mechanism that like sorts through data and presents it really well. It's crazy expensive as far as tools go. It's like 12,000 or more per year. So, do keep that in mind. But they have some free stuff, and I was looking at the free stuff, and they were showing, who are the top CT influencers right now. And I was amazed to see that I think number 2 was one of these AIs. It was AI XBT. And that just blew my mind that like right now in those space.
Chaos was launched by AI XBT. That's why I saw
that.
Yeah. So the meme coin we were talking about, like doing concentrated liquidity LPing of before, called Chaos, was launched by
Right.
AI XBT. So,
I mean, sort of. Like, I don't think an AI can actually launch a token. I think it's, I think this is why they call it agentic, because there's like someone who's like puppeting it, but they're being given donations by the AI.
yeah, no, that's my whole point. Like, maybe AI agents on chain will be a real and interesting and useful thing later on. Right now, there's like a puppet master who's like doing stuff for it. There's also like they're interacting with other stuff on chain. My understanding is like someone prompted the AI to like describe what a good token would be, and then tagged another AI which maybe does automatic token generation on chain, or I don't really know. There's like some lore or something like that. So anyway, I do think that there is also very interesting opportunities for doing this on Solana. So like, I don't know if you have Orca pulled up, but if you just go look at, there's two, yeah, I think it's right on there on the left-hand side. Yeah, either of those two. So you can just like look at the volumes on like some of these things are just wild. Like some of like the volume to TVL ratios are just silly. Can you see one here that like, I mean, a lot of these are silly. Like with Sol.
Well, let's go fee. Well, I mean, it'd be cool if you could sort by a ratio, which is like fee to TVL. Rewards, we can't. You probably can actually. Let's see. Minimum TVL has no yield. Here we go. The highest yield. There we go. So like a phantom. What? With high volume. So we're looking at maybe $1 million of volume. Blum. Are we looking for meme coins here?
All of those have like no TVL though. I think it's better to do it the other way around. I think it's better. Why don't you do sort by volume? Yeah. So like
Moodang.
Yeah, Moodang or PopCat. Like $1.5 million of TVL and $25 million of volume, right?
Oh, okay. But so yield divided by TVL. Does this mean 9% ROI? Estimated returns are based on trading fees generated in the last 24 hours, or is this like APR? Is it annualized?
I think it's 24 hours.
I think you're right, because $22 million of volume on $700,000. Oh, here we go. $66,000 of fees is roughly 9% of the TVL. Yeah. So this is a 24-hour ROI. They should advertise that better, because my brain immediately thought APR. That's great. 10% ROI on Moodang, and Moodang is a blue chip. It's coming to Coinbase.
Well, it's already on Coinbase, right? And like PopCat right above it or something, right? So like Moodang, PopCat, these are like big boy, not like flashes in the pan. Yeah, I mean, so who knows, like if they have any, but they're big memes with lots of, volume. There's also the other platform I sent you, which also has crazy volumes and stuff. But anyway, there is lots of opportunities that abound. And so if you want to get exposure to meme coins and you want to earn a bunch of yield while you're doing it, this certainly will cap your upside. If you're LPing, you will not enjoy 1000x return on it, but you can generate, 9% a day APR on Moodang, or if you're willing to get in the trenches of base AI meme coins the day they launch, you can make like 50% ROIs. So, in a day.
It reminded me, I want to talk about this earlier, this narrative, because I was looking at, I don't know if you follow TikTok investors. I don't even follow them, but sometimes they pop up on like For You, and just watching people complain or like relent, who are clearly, I mean, I think this guy might be doing parody, but watching people complain and like cry about over how come they're not making money on meme coins, it does make me think that the meme coin mania we're seeing has, what's that, a survivorship bias. So there are probably the majority of people getting washed out of the trenches. They're running out of money entirely. They can't afford to stay in the trenches, or they've just lost so much they've been demoralized and they're exiting the trenches of their own volition. I think that's probably the majority of actors. And then the people that we're hearing from, the people we're seeing on Twitter or X, on YouTube, on maybe on TikTok. I don't have a TikTok. Those are the ones who have, by luck or through grit, have survived. And so I just wanted to add that as a word of caution. We're talking about meme coins because there is this interesting yield opportunity. Yes, Mark, had a 30%, 40, 50% ROI over one day on a particular meme coin. And, the one meme coin that I held has gone up. That doesn't mean you're going to experience the same thing. I am strongly convicted that the vast majority of people trading meme coins, even LPing meme coins, are going to lose. And that this will eventually concentrate in the hands of a few small percentage of winners. And I'm not saying they're winners because they're better. There will be some winners who are just more skilled at this, who are in the trenches more, who are doing more research, who are like looking for all the narratives, and they will win because of their merit. There are also going to be some lucky people who just like click the right things and hit the jackpot. I think that was me for a cycle, to be honest. So I do think there's going to be a big transfer of wealth out of like the hands of the new entrancers into DeFi who just lose, and into the hands of like these people who are slightly more sophisticated. And I think there's going to be a wealth transfer effect out of memes eventually into the rest of DeFi. We talked about this before. I also think that's going to happen with XRP. I don't think the money's going to stay in XRP token, but I'm also not convinced it's going to go into the XRP ecosystem. Do you want to look at the XRP ecosystem for a second?
I do, but right before you go to that, will you just go over one tab on your sheet and go to Meteora, which is...
Oh, good. I thought you were going to say portfolio. I don't want to show you guys my Solana balances.
No.
I'm kidding. I have nothing on Solana yet.
So yeah, here, this is what I wanted to just show you real quick. So like, obviously, there's the same story here where you can go and LP meme coins like Chill Guy and Moodang and all sorts of crazy stuff. But the second line there is JLP USDC with $3 million of TVL, and oh, you lost it. You sort by...
I'll just search for it. I can search by name.
Yes, so that one, wait, exactly. Yeah, so $3 million in TVL, $50 million in volume. That's a daily ROI there of between very little and 1/3% per day, right? So if you're willing to be
relatively roughly 3.65% APR, which is very low, this would be 100% APR.
Yeah. And like, you know, there's a lot of people that want this JLP exposure.
Oh, but Sol, if you want Sol exposure, that's great. This is roughly 100% to 100% APR. So this is much more predictable APR.
Yeah. So anyway, there's opportunities abound. That's my point, right? Like, I 100% agree with what you're saying about meme coins. I'm doing it for the fun. It's fun to do it. It's, you know, it basically feels a little bit like, you know, gambling. So I agree with you on that. I'm not trying to advocate people go and like get into the trenches of meme coin LPing unless you're looking to potentially lose all your money, but have some fun along the way. There are in this
period, they don't dilute us.
That's true. That as well. But there also are genuinely interesting stuff. Like JLP is a very interesting asset. I know I've talked, you know, in some trends also negatively about it. Yeah, so we don't need to get into that again. But LPing it, you know, I mean, like there could be some very interesting strategies on here as well. I don't know if you want to talk about this. I'm also happy to go look at the XRP ecosystem, which from what I can tell is just
probably less action is there. But we'd be still looking at liquidity pools.
Yeah. So just to give everyone a sense here, so there is XRPL, and the total chain, or I think you're calling it a chain, has like something like $15 million of TVL. This has really only gained attention.
That can't be right. $15 million in the entire chain.
Yeah. I mean, but like it's all a meme, right? Like XRP is like the biggest meme coin, so it's not about the chain or the TVL or the transactions.
Do you understand the thesis for XRP? Like back in the day, I used to kind of get it. It was an attempt to fix the banking system, kind of. The XRP people are going to tell me I'm an idiot, and I am. But like something about fixing banks.
Financial ledger, like instead of Swift, they're just going to use XRP to do all the transactions and accounting in the financial system. I don't really know. I've never been
that. That sounds good.
An XRP guy. But I mean, the reason we're talking about this is because it's gone up like 300% in like no time at all. And so it's getting a lot of attention. It's flipped Solana, which is part of the reason that the Solana mainlets are getting a little testy, and a lot of people are bridging over there now to go buy meme coins and see what's going on over there. If you go to Magnetic, I think that's like the main DEX as far as I can tell. And like, you know, there are some yields. Like, for example, this top one here, MAG, I think is like the DEX token. I don't really know what any of this other stuff is. I think they're meme coins. I have no idea what XPM is, but I know the third biggest liquidity pool, Army, is like some XRP meme coin. I literally know nothing else about it besides that. I don't know why they have a 0% fee tier for it. That also doesn't even make any sense. So there's some weird and wonderful stuff going on over there. But, you know, if you want to go explore a new ecosystem, in general, I will say going exploring new ecosystems is always a good thing to do in DeFi. Whether the XRP ecosystem is the one you want to focus on, well, I have no idea. I'm not personally going to go bridge over there. I'll probably stay in the familiarness of Base and Solana and the other places.
And by the way, we're not crapping on XRP and saying like XRP is bad because their ecosystem is so thin. They only have 3 protocols. I don't think that's what they want to do. Like they're not aiming to be a chain full of protocols. So like we're not scoffing at XRP. It's crazy that like XRP does have a chain, and they're like what, the second largest asset now, second or third largest asset, and their chain, which we are familiar with, is so sparse.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's third. I mean, obviously BTC, ETH, and then
easily ETH, XRP. Wow. I mean, good for them. Genuinely good for them. Respect.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like a 300 billion. Was it like, is it a 250 or $300 billion FTV? So, you know, I mean, it's also, it's big boy money over there. It's not like some tiny little thing. Let me pull it up. It's $243 billion FTV.
So the narrative here for Meteora or sorry, Magnetic is that there will be a wealth effect or wealth transfer effect. So XRP holders just made a ridiculous amount of money. Many of them are longtime holders, so they've made, you know, a multiple return on their investment. And the theory is that they will then go and use the XRPL chain and push money into it. And so you might see some of these meme coins pump. You might see this volume in there, so you might get some yield. And I think the counter argument, which I'm sure you were about to give, is that XRP users they're not DeFi native in the sense that we think of DeFi native. They're not really DeFi users. They're crypto holders. At least that's how I perceive them.
Yeah, and like maybe they're all on exchanges, or maybe they're all like holding in cold storage until it hits $10,000 or whatever. I don't know, whatever their thinking is. I will just say that for anyone who is interested in bridging over here, it is a little bit of a painful experience from what I've heard. You can't use Rabby, you can only use MetaMask, and it has to be MetaMask XRP ledger snaps. So there is like some user interfaces that are like a little painful and stuff. But, you know, I applaud the folks who are bridging over here and jumping into Army and Mag and other stuff. Like, honestly, they probably outperform. Yeah, they probably will outperform. I personally don't understand it, and I always get... It's a little hard for me to like participate in things that I don't understand, but you know, call me a mid-curve. But that's also fine too. Like I maybe it's just like also a little bit of PTSD from last cycle. It's like the whole meme of like, if you don't understand the yield, then you are the yield.
Then you are the yield.
That was very, very true, you know, and is very true, but we may be in animal spirits territory where like, it doesn't even matter. You just like go and ape the stupidest thing you possibly can. And that's the thing that'll go up the most. Who knows?
I think we're over the peak of that, but maybe I'm wrong. I mean, last time, I'm trying to remember, I think the peak of what you're calling animal spirits, which is like you just jump into something and it goes up, that from my recollection was like Ponzi season. So we had Time, we had Ohm, we had Strong, we had all these other ones where like you couldn't lose on them, and then you could, and you could a lot, and then every other fork was like one winner, 99 losers. So I think we're starting to move into majority losers, minority winners with meme coins. And which is why I do think we're getting towards the maturity of the bull market. Not maturity in terms of like more advanced, but farther along in the cycle. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully we hit like 250K Bitcoin. I swear, if Bitcoin peaks here and does not hit 100K, I'm going to be upset. Let's hope that's not true. I will say I am preparing myself to transition into a delta neutral portfolio. Like trying to look for these yields, checking out funding rates, kind of skimming stablecoins. And I just want to remind anyone here who's like a first cycler, you do not want to be holding these bags at the end of the cycle. You do want to take profits. You do want to exit. I know like if this is your first cycle, you might think these are like stocks and you just hold these stocks forever and they'll eventually go up. And that's kind of true, but there's really no reason for you to be sitting on a stock that's going to be going down in value for 2 years and then come back up, you know, 1 or 2 years later. It's just not fun. You'll probably end up selling and you'll quit the space and not look back. What you want to do, and Mara, feel free to give your own perspective here, is you want to exit some or all of your portfolio, long positions at least, around the top. You're not going to get the Pico top, and there are a few ways to sort of call the top. If you join the dojo and look at the trading people, they'll tell you, and they were pretty consistent. Like the 821 EMA weekly cross is a great signal you can use. When that crosses, exit your longs and then go delta neutral. You can go short if you have a strong short bias, and honestly, being fully exposed short on the downtrend is better than being delta neutral, the same way being fully exposed long on the uptrend is better than being delta neutral. But you know, you need to be able to take a directional bet. Throughout the bear market, if you can be delta neutral, you're just going to be so happy. It's like stable coins, then you start buying and accumulating towards the end of that, you're going to have a good day. So I just want to be clear, you do not want to hold these tokens forever. Don't marry your bags, and do have an exit plan. And I am already working on mine. I think we're at the place where it's smart to not look at houses and cars and what you can do with the money, and more about how can I preserve this money and not lose it.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. And the only thing I would say is, like, you almost made it sound like these bags will go down and come back up. Some of them will just go down and never come back. Right. So, like, you know, yeah, that's also very possible as well. And
do you have any shout outs from last cycle of bags that went down only and never recovered?
I think in the dojo recently we were talking about Kronos. That one went to zero, I believe.
Yeah.
That was one that went down only. It is funny to see, though, some of these like Cosmos things that like went to zero now coming back. I mean, things like Juno, for example, that were at $45 and then went to like 10 cents or something like that. And then if you like look at the chart, like it actually, yeah, and now it's at 25 cents, but like it went, like, look at that thing. It is wild. Yeah. I don't even think that this is like the historical chart. Like it literally went to $45, but like, and then like recently, you know, it has bumped up. But anyway, maybe back more to the serious conversation about like taking profits. I'm 100% with you on that. I try to take profits on altcoins all the time. I am decent about coming up with a plan. I have found that I'm poor at executing it. And so my solution is using two things: concentrated liquidity. So like, for example, I get, you know, like with the whole eigenlayer play, you know, like using concentrated liquidity to scale out of a position. Now, obviously that doesn't work all the time. And the other thing that I do is I set limit orders. So I'm a big fan. I use limit orders in 3 different places. I use them on sexes. So I use it in Bybit sometimes. I also use them on 1inch, and I also use them on Oku Trade. And I'll just like set limit orders at target prices that I have and kind of just like forget about it. And I'll take profits a lot of times into USDC, sometimes into ETH, depending on kind of like what it is. But that's a way for me to like come up with a thesis, execute it with concentrated liquidity, execute it with limit orders. Works really well. And a recent example of this for me was Hyperliquid, for example. I was pretty bullish when Hyperliquid launched. I got like a decent airdrop. You know, not like a life-changing airdrop like maybe some other people, but I thought it was going to perform pretty well. And I set limit orders, you know, essentially between like $8 and $10. And a lot of those have already triggered, and I've already kind of taken profit into USDC on those things. So
what percent of your portfolio is USDC now? I know we're talking to someone else who's like 20% in stable coins. Which is the first symbol back to
between 20 and 30% in stable coins. Like, so it just kind of like depends. Yeah. I'm always about 20 to 30%. And it just varies. If I get like interested in something, I'll go and like buy stuff, you know, and then I'll like have a plan to take profits out, oftentimes with limit orders or with concentrated liquidity. So,
and are you lately on the entire time on your stable coins? Because I mean, right now,
yeah,
it's crazy how many opportunities there are for stable coins.
Yeah, I really like super liquid ones. So like things I can jump in and out of really easily. So I'm a big fan of Fluid. I use Fluid for getting leverage on stuff. I also use Fluid for just getting like an easy, dependable yields on stablecoins. So for
Doom was like that too. He was saying he's just lending on Fluid, and he's been bouncing around between like 8 and 13% for months.
Higher now. Click on yield. Like it. So I would say it goes between like typically 8 and 13%, and then right now it's like 25%. Right? It's been like this for a couple of days now for USDC.
Yeah, USDC. Look at that. And this is largely attributed to Athena, I think, right?
Exactly. It's just basically Athena. But like the thing I like about this is I can, you know, I mean, there could be a theoretical point where people borrow so much I couldn't get out, but you know,
right.
Barring that circumstance, I'm instantly liquid. I can pull out when I'm on mainnet in stables. It's just like,
see, I don't know if they did borrow so much you couldn't get out. It's like it's not like a illiquid DEX that's experiencing a chain exploit, in which case it is Hotel California. You're never going to get out. You effectively lost your money. You've been exploited, and like if you do get out, it's by dumb luck and not by the mechanisms underlying. With Fluid or with Aave or with any of these, you know, compound with these larger money markets, and all of the lend is used up, it's coming back. Like the chain's not being drained. It's not like the whole ecosystem is going away. You're just going to get a crazy high APR spike for a few weeks while people finally, you know, supply and demand until there is liquidity back for you to take out.
Exactly. So for a long time, I was using Fraxland as doing an equivalent of this. And these days, I'm using Fluid. If you go up to stats there on the top, kind of middle-ish left of the page, we can go see the specifics. And you click on lending in the middle right there. Yep. We can see an average over time.
Yeah.
So like,
do they do? No, they don't show an average, but you can give
you can
yourself
kind of
a
like
line of best fit, right?
yeah, you can see. I mean, like the lows there. Like, what's the lows? Like, yeah, that's like
13%. Oh, no, average
spiking up.
So they do give you a 1 month average. 1 month average 13%. That's awesome. 1 week average, I'm guessing we're going to be a little bit higher. 1 week average is 14%. That's kind of surprising it's that low. And then 1 day average, I think we're probably going to be 25%. That's cool. Yeah, so 1 month 12, 1 week 14, 1 day 25%. Shout out to Fluid for having those. I love being able to see metrics like that on the page. But yeah, that's incredible.
And just to be clear, like there are tons of places that you can get a higher yield, right? You could literally just go jump into you could go do looping. You can do a delta neutral play on like a SEX or a DEX. There's so many different things. I'm giving a personal premium to two things. One, safety. I just I trust Fluid. I know that they are like a relatively complex money market. And so like that could be concerning, but I do think they are a good team that has a record of shipping. So like I like that, number one. And number two, and the biggest one, I'm giving a premium to instant liquidity, right? Like if I need to go and buy a meme coin on base, or I'm just kidding. I'm not actually really doing that with real size, but like whatever I need to do with it, it's the bull market. Like liquidity does have a major premium here. And so that's why I'm just comfortable sitting there. It feels very flexible. And for those who like aren't comfortable being on mainnet because of the fees, you can do this in Arbitrum. You can do this on Base. My observation of those pools on Fluid is that they tend to be a little less yieldy. So like instead of being like, having spikes up to 25, they're just much more consistent, like 10 or 11 or 12%. So still pretty good, just slightly less yields on Base and Arbitrum, but still very good. And then, then you don't have to deal with like mainnet gas, which is super nice.
So there are two competing things I want to talk about. One is you said you're not really playing with meme coins with size, which reminded me of something Kobe recently said, which is that he is in the trenches because it's fun. He's in the trenches of the meme coin war because it's something to do while following the markets. I think that's true. Like if you're just staring at the price of Bitcoin and you're a long-term holder and you're not actively day trading it, it's kind of boring. I think, you need a job outside of that. And if your full-time job is crypto and you're only a long-term holder, I do think you're going to get burnt out on boredom, which is kind of crazy and weird to say, but your brain needs stimulation. And so things like meme coin LPing, things like meme coin trading, even yield farming to some extent, though I think yield farming is a little bit down the risk curve versus the former two, it's something to do, and it can be something to do that is profitable and can get you more skilled at playing with DeFi and decentralized finance. So there is that component, which I think is incredibly important. The other thing is that you said entering and exiting was easy and fast and sort of painless on Fluid. I wanted to then transition to the idea of Contango, which has fees. So once you're in, you're sort of locked in for a while until you break even. There is, like a 2.5 bip, maybe 25 bip, 2.5 bip fee on these like pairs on entering and exiting. And, at 10x leverage, that can be like 0.25% to enter, 0.25% to exit. It's, 0.5% gone for entering and exiting. So you really do need a high APR or like a long-term bias. You're not going to be entering and exiting as fast as you could from Fluid, even though your APRs might be 300%. Now, I will say some of these are kind of low. There's only $3,000 of addressable capital with that one. But we have seen some of these PTs, here we go, that have been really compelling lately. Also, I'm doing a minimum ROE of 70%. So clearly I don't want to say higher standards. I have more degenerate tastes than you. The PTUSDE, I've been talking about this one for months. Congratulations to anyone who followed my direction here. 88% today. It ends in 20 days. So I wouldn't jump into this now, but we've been talking about this one almost every single week we've been on the podcast. This is the December 24th PTSUSDE. Excellent borrow rate, excellent yield rate. It's just been really, really good, right? It's fixed rate on the collateral, like 25%. But now
also that is real quick.
Yeah.
Morpho is now a live token. So that additional 5.25% is not a secondary 5.25. It's real. So that's actually like 90+%, like in real terms, which is amazing.
Yep. It's a good way to farm Morpho tokens as well. If you have like a long bias on Morpho, you like what they're building, that's one way to do it, right? You can just have your have your stablecoin position open, doing incredible APRs. And on top of that, you're farming Morpho, which maybe you have a long bias on. I know last cycle, a lot of people were doing that. They were like, instead of risking principal to buy volatile tokens, they would just farm the volatile tokens they want and then hold them. That's one way to get exposure without risking principal. The other one is, do you call it USD 0 plus plus? That just sounds like a dumb thing to call it, or just usual USD?
I just call it usual USD. I like literally it makes me cringe so much saying that full name.
USD 0 plus plus?
Yeah, it's terrible.
So that's the future of stablecoins. Yeah, so
Usual is a very cool protocol. They do not seem to be great at naming their tokens.
their assets. Can you give me like the TLDR of usual? Because I know like you followed it for a while. That doesn't mean you're like a fundamental analyst for the protocol, but do you have like a broad sense of what they're...
I think it's just like another RWA one. To be honest, I have not followed it super closely, so I would hate to say something wrong and
Right.
talk about it the wrong way. I do think that they're going to have a big airdrop. I do think the people that have been farming it will probably do very well.
Severe drop. Like their token has an implied fee of like $1 billion. I was blown away by how big that was.
Yeah, I mean, they're not small. I think that the people who did the YT, this might be actually one
Where the YTs are gonna just be insanely profitable. I mean, like in retrospect, I don't know if there's already been the snapshot or what.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I think that they're going to do really well. I think it's just like another RWA protocol. I do not know a ton about it, so I'm not going to comment more. But for the usual farmers out there, excellent job, folks. You've done a great job. And now that they're going to have they have the usual token stuff, like the EtherFi usual vault will actually start receiving real tokens. So there will be other ripple effects that happen, and it could be good
Ripple effects.
Exactly.
Circling back, is Golden Bull over? Just out of curiosity, I know today was the last day, and probably by the time we're recording, or by the time you see this, it's probably going to be over.
Yeah, I think it hasn't ended yet, but maybe by the time this is out, it will be.
Right. Okay. So anyways, congratulations if you got in on that. I think we're predicting somewhere around a 0.3% ROI for whatever the amount you minted. It's 0.26 now technically, but I do think there's going to be a lot of capital that's disqualified because they broke the rules. So I'm hoping for roughly around a 0.3% ROI on whatever minted notional value you had. One other thing I wanted to mention here is Contango. We're looking at Contango right now. Contango's does correctly calculate SUSD yield, and PTs, by the way, PTs are not tied to any. I mean, they're not the same as the underlying yield. So the PT yield is not calculated the same as the SUSD yield, so you can sort of trust this separately. And the SUSD yield on Contango and on most places is now using the correct mechanism. I wrote a thread about this recently, so don't worry about that fake number. I call it a fake number on the Athena website of 29%. That's not throwing these numbers off. You're not getting bad numbers on Contango. You're getting accurate numbers on Contango. You're getting the bad number only on the Athena front end, as far as I know.
Yeah, it's strange to me that they don't provide the accurate number. Their numbers are already so good that they don't.
Oh, nice to you. It's not like they have one good number, one bad number. It's if they just gave the accurate number, it would still be really good. Who else in this space is giving you a 20% intrinsic APR on a stablecoin? Just give the correct number.
And it does really hurt people. People are aping YTs and looping up PTs based off of different numbers, and it's a mess. I think that I actually really like Athena. I think they're doing some very interesting stuff. I think they've actually brought a lot of life into DeFi. I think they've upped the ante. I am secondarily benefiting from them being a depositor on Fluid, where I'm just earning the yield by the people who are leveraging up and stuff like that. So I think they're doing a lot of great stuff, but that would be one comment. Seraphim or whoever from the Athena team, if anyone goes or listening, just put the right APR on there. It's already fantastic, and
they know how to calculate it. We've talked to them. They know that they have their own argumentation, and fine. Yeah, but it's okay. Let's see if there's a clear example here of why this is important. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so any of these markets, so the SUSDE borrowing DAI, 86% LTV, there's $4.8 million available liquidity. That's great. The borrow APR is 26%. Now, if you look at the Athena front end and it says 29% yield, you're thinking, oh, great, I'm getting an additional 3% yield per loop, and you can leverage 7x at 86%. So you're getting 21% more. You think you're getting 50% APR, but you're not. You're probably getting a negative APR because The real yield is 20%. So you're getting negative 5% per leverage. So negative 5 times 7 is negative 35%. You're actually getting a negative 10% APR. That's why this is important. That's why this matters, because that 8% difference from 21 to 29% APR is the difference between getting a 50% leverage yield and a negative 10%, which is the actual leverage yield. So let me get off my soapbox. Again, we both love Athena. We both think it's like one of the best stablecoin yields out there, if not the best stablecoin yield out there. It's just show the right number.
The only other thing I would say, and this is my own pet peeve, is it's not a stablecoin. Like, I know it gets talked about as a stablecoin all the time. It is not a stablecoin. It is a vault product, right? Like, it's a token which is backed by a long, like, wrapped staked ETH or BTC position, as well as a short BTC or ETH position. And then you're generating like the carry, like the arbitrage on the funding rate, right? So I like, this was also a big thing when they first launched. They called themselves a stablecoin, and then they had to walk it back and say they were a vault token. You know, like, the reason I'm making a big hullabaloo about this is just like, I think the nomenclature does matter sometimes. And in this case, if everyone just agrees that this is a stablecoin, it's great for Athena. Like, I think they're probably trying to foster that image of themselves. But like, there are other risks that are going on here. Like, there are other things underneath the hood. And I just think about, you know,
right, like
it does not
the underlying value can't, like, you can have principal loss here if the underlying strategies continue to run at a you know, net negative carry. So if the funding rate flips on all of their short positions and turns negative, then the strategies can run a net negative, which means the backing value of SUSD, even though it's over collateralized, can go down, which means that the peg would go below 1, right? There is a mechanism that is a totally reasonable mechanism that could trigger, that could make this be worth less than $1. Though, you know, the fact that they're over collateralized, the fact that I think they also diversify into T-bills does give them some level of protection there, but sure.
Yeah, it's just more risky than like a traditional stablecoin. It's more in the basket of something like, you know, one of these more complex.
Way risky, because when you say more risky, like more risky than USDC, definitely. More risky than Tether, definitely. More risky than MIM or MAI or FEI.
It's probably like, you know, in that same range, or even like maybe less risky than those. I don't know. That's probably like an arguable thing. Frax, interestingly, now actually is 100% collateralized again. Remember, they had all of that.
I thought it was over collateralized now.
Maybe it's over collateralized. It was under collateralized. I mean, it was
right.
Technically not under collateralized because they had all these volatile assets backing it. But now it is over collateralized in that there are, you know, 100% real dollars and more backing it, plus all of the like shrapnel of like Curve and Convex. I mean, it's not shrapnel, it's like a ton of money, but like, you know, those volatile assets.
How's to catch a seat? I hope FXS is one of the random tokens that pumps through one of these many cycles. But yeah, okay. So anyways, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you for your insight and for the alpha on the LPs. Again, guys, don't ape your whole portfolio into this stuff. We like to talk about memes and high APRs. If you're chasing those high APRs, especially the meme-ish APRs, use 1% of your portfolio, or even, you know, break that up into 0.5% or 0.25%. Learn it, have fun with it. You're not going to enjoy it if you overinvest. It's just going to give you stress and sleepless nights, and you're going to be angry, and your relationships are going to suffer. Just, you know, learn. Don't pay, you know, $10,000 of tuition for a pre-algebra class is all I'm saying. And have a wonderful
back, right?
Yeah.
Points. Yeah. And have a wonderful rest of your day out there in the meme coin trenches, enjoying yourself and not getting too serious with it. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week. Bye.